Wasting money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. Time is running out. Time is running out. Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deepest seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. But time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. But time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Okay, hi everybody, welcome to our Thursday live revision session. We're going to focus on what some people in the chat window have been calling a niche subject. Well, if it's niche and it comes up, then it'd be good if we've covered it. We're going to look at public and private goods today. Part of our preparation for the synoptic paper 3, on Friday the 7th of June. What the exam boards like to do, they like to take quite broad topics, could be housing, unemployment, exchange rates, development, public and private goods, and because they can see some synoptic connections, micro macro connections between the two. So that's what we try and do in this session, half an hour. We look at a couple of case studies, context that you might be familiar with, might not be, and hopefully we get some good revision along the way. Welcome to everybody who's joining us live in the session. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can contribute to our amazing chat. I'm just trying to work out the combined IQ and A-level predicted grades of our group here. Must be pretty high. I suppose you don't combine IQ, do you? Take the average, take the mean. Or maybe you should take the median. Let's start by looking at 2 bubble quiz questions. So here's the first one. Which of the following might be described as private rather than pure public goods? So bubble quiz, how many of these answers are correct? Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, could be all of them, could be none of them. So if you want to contribute, type your answers in the chat window. So Queen Bee has gone for A, B, and C. David and Joshua agree. David thinks just B and C. Fergus, A, B, C. Most people here saying A, B, C. Let's have a look. Yeah, we think so. Place history with economics at Cambridge, obviously highly prized, as many people here know. Pay subscriptions for online learning software. So these things like Patreon and podcast subscriptions and online learning software. Paid subscriptions makes it more excludable. Tickets for entry to one of London's largest museums. Yeah, it's more a private good, particularly if you have to pay. Whereas things like road and air traffic control systems, less so, more public than private. Next question, good start everybody. Which of these might be defined as quasi or quasi public goods? Now you do need to know quasi or quasi public goods as part of your revision. Space on a public beach at peak times, public Wi-Fi systems in city libraries, tickets to the tutor to you post-exam party, and motorways. What do we think? Esther and Charlie have gone for ABD. Freddie Grad, one of our fantastic contributors, has gone for all of them. What do you reckon? What's the most likely to be quasi? Ollie White has gone for ABD. George White, DAC. And Millie's gone ABD. Let's double check. Yeah, we think ABD. Motorways, public beaches at peak times. Obviously not when I'm on a beach. That tends to empty the beach pretty quickly. Public Wi-Fi often gets congested, slows down when some year 11 starts downloading revision notes or something. And of course, tickets to the post-exam party are as private and exclusive as it's possible to be. Well done. Okay, now a few keywords. Now, this is not a niche subject, by the way. This is market failure. But as I'll hope to explain in this session together, I'm going to link public goods to lots of things: monopoly, development economics, macroeconomics. So you can use public good theory, both in a micro and macro context. Let's just spend a minute on this one. The scope of public goods can be local, street lighting, national, who knows, air traffic control, and global. So if you think about early warning systems for hurricanes, tsunamis, those are significant public goods. Investment in those kind of things, and everybody in theory gets a benefit. So the nature of public goods is very scalable. For most public goods, the marginal benefit to you or I is quite small, but the potential aggregate benefit to society can be quite large. And we will look at vaccinations as a topic today. And the other aspect is, for many public goods, benefits are realised ahead of, in the future. We have to discount the future, obviously, but the cost, well, we often have to pay today. So the cost we bear today may yield a benefit in the future. If you think about the cost of mitigating climate change, all of those costs are upfront, but the benefits may well accrue over many years, and it really depends on how heavily you want to discount the future. In particular, and here's a phrase which somebody might want to use, the value of overlapping generations, intergenerational equity. Now, really important, I want to link public goods to macro today because I think it's synoptic. Economies typically grow more quickly and sustainably when public goods are provided efficiently at scale. As I've said a few times before, some of you have used it in the exam, I think, macroeconomics has micro foundations. If you get the public goods right at a micro level, you often get a really good macro performance. If you get the public goods wrong, and you can imagine failing states in developing context, countries, the public goods are simply either not there or in a state of disrepair. Sorry, stop thinking about the UK, think about other countries. That has consequences for living standards, for development, and for growth. Okay, let's crack on. Chance for you to shine here. Can you define for me, please, the key characteristics of pure public goods? Here we go. So, great chance to shine. We're going to look at a couple of contexts. Quick bit of revision to start with. Put some answers on the window as they come through. What are the key characteristics of pure public goods? I'm sure you've revised this for your paper 1. Did it appear on paper 1? If not, it could be a paper 3. Getting some good answers coming through. And Isaac's there with his nice key definitions. Liam, I think, has gone a little bit more definition and detail coming through from Liam, one of our regular contributors. Consuming it does not reduce the amount the next person consumes, and it's not excludable. You can't be prevented. Essentially, you can't be blocked from using it. Defense systems, good example. Great to have outstanding football talent Marcus Rashford in with us today. There's no monetary requirement to experience the good. Yep, national defence is a good example there. Excellent, you've got that. Let's quickly look at my answer because everybody smashed that one. I've gone for non-excludable. Yeah, once you provide the good, it's pretty hard, nay impossible, to prevent people from using and benefiting from it. Obviously with encryption, encryption obviously provides a degree of excludability now. Non-payers can enjoy the benefit, the marginal benefit, without paying for it. Then that creates the free rider problem, aka tax evasion. Tax evasion is a form of free riding. People benefit from state-provided goods and services without making a fair and equitable contribution. Non-arrival, of course, is really key. Most of you got that. The thing I would add to your notes on this, if you haven't already got it, is the marginal cost of supply is close to zero. Once you provided flood defence for, let's say, a community of 100,000 people, the cost of providing it for the next person who arrives in the village or the town is zero. Once you've built a national defence network, the population grows with migration, the marginal cost is zero. Okay? So in that sense, healthcare, which many people, a lot of students write about healthcare as a public good. There's a strong public good aspect to healthcare. Turn it on its head. When the healthcare system starts to decline, that's a public bad, as we're seeing at the moment. But healthcare is not a public good because it's rival. Take a look at this chart, which shows the number of hospital beds in the UK since the turn of the millennium. It's down from 240,000 to 170-ish thousand. Now, I've shortened the scale to make it look a bit more dramatic, but that's quite a big fall in the number of hospital beds. If I take up a hospital bed for treatment, that's one less bed for somebody else. So, and of course, it's one reason why the NHS spends so much money trying to keep people out of hospital, because hospital beds are rival and treatment within hospitals. Great start, everybody. Here's another question. Oh, yeah, I really like this one. Is a national vaccination programme with vaccines offered free at the point of use, in other words, you don't pay for them, is it an example of the government providing public goods? Have a go, see what you can come up with on this answer, and we'll showcase some of them. Have a go. So, is a vaccination programme a public good? You might get this type of question because there's a degree of doubt. Jake provides a very pithy and succinct answer. I was hoping for a little bit more detail, Jake. William talks about the funding. Okay. That's still a public good if it's funded through collective taxation. Stefan says the marginal cost of supply is not very low. Yeah, good point, Stefan. I mean, with economies of scale, of course, the marginal cost comes down. Also says it's semi-non-rival. Yes, and Livonia talks about rival as supply is not infinite. Elasticity of vaccines. Phil Bastow comes in with a nice point there from Phil. It's not a pure public good as it's rejectable. Non-rejectability is a key feature of public goods. It is actually, Phil, it's one of the two features, isn't it? One of the three features. Most people talk about rival and excludability, but rejectability is a good one. And of course, vaccine deniers, rejectors are around. The shrimp. Welcome back to the shrimp, by the way. We've missed you. It's probably a quasi-public good because there are a limited number of vaccinations available at any one point, meaning they are semi-rivalrous. That is one of the best answers. I think the shrimp's been away practicing that answer. It's so good. Yeah, here's my answer. Can I beat it? Well, it's essentially non-excludable because once you have launched a program, it's difficult to exclude people from the benefits, particularly the idea of herd immunity from vaccines. Once the vaccine participation level goes up to above 80% or 85%, it's likely you'll get herd immunity, which benefits everybody. And there is it's semi-rivaling consumption. So one person's consumption of a vaccine can reduce availability for others. And just think about a global perspective there, the vaccine supply shortages in many emerging nations, and in particular in ELDCs in 2020, 2021. Good stuff. Great answer there. I just want to quickly show you something. I think, yeah, this is the data I've managed to download, as you do. So what were you doing yesterday, Jeff? Well, what I was doing was I was downloading COVID vaccination data for the UK up to the end of 2022, essentially the summer of 2022. Blue line is that first dose. I can vividly remember going to get my first first jab. Very, very quick and speedy rollout. That is essentially provision of quasi-public goods at scale. The second vaccine kicked in, of course, in the summer of 2021. And then again in the autumn of 2021, the third vaccine. And obviously you can see the take-up was down each time. But you kind of, from a behavioural economics perspective, you kind of expect that as the virus and variants of it mutated. But a really interesting chart showing the scale of vaccine rollout in the UK. I think one of the big successes in recent years. Okay, so, Penny Goat. Hi, Jeff, sorry I'm late. I was busy integrating by substitution. That sounds like maths, but it could be horizontal integration or lateral integration using a substitution effect. So probably maths. By the way, I was hopeless at maths at Cambridge. I've lost count the number of times I failed my Cambridge maths papers. Okay, let's move on. I just wanted to show you this one. This is really quite important. Not necessarily COVID. This is the measles immunisation rate in the UK over the last 20 years. And it climbed well, actually, from 2004 all the way through to 2014, from 81% to 93%. This is basically children getting immunised. Since then, it has dipped. And there are some fears that once immunisation falls below 85%, which it already has in some areas, in some localities, the risk of new measles outbreaks, which we thought we'd basically eliminated, starts to go up. Okay, so let's crack on. Now this is a common question. I'm looking for the quality here of your answer. Why does the existence of pure public goods likely lead to a complete market failure? Here we go. Isaac says, did you do land economy, Jeff? Isaac, there's no need to have a go this early in the day. I did actually do a bit of land economy, but it was essentially a subsid of my bigger degree. So why does the existence of pure public goods lead to complete market failure? Stefan talks about missing markets. These are really good answers in the chat window, everybody. These are unbelievably good. Yeah, a lot of people talking about excludability, non-excludability coming through. Evan has a lovely phrase here. There's no profit incentive for private firms, so there'll be a missing market. Good stuff. Esther talks about marginal cost is zero. It's almost impossible for firms to provide them. Actually, if the marginal cost is zero, Esther, it should be profitable. Once you just got to cover the fixed costs. But the key really is excludability. The key is whether you can charge somebody a market price. Queen Bee, the free rider problem is there's no incentive for rational economic agents to provide the good because they would not be able to charge a price for it enough to make normal profit. Some great answers coming through. Finley, hey, if we can find Finley's answer. Lovely to have Finley producing a new answer here, because if they provide for one individual, other individuals can free ride, consume for free, so the producer basically derives no revenue from supplying a good, so the firm will not supply. There's a nice chain of reasoning there, which would do superbly well. Here's my answer. Yeah, they can't effectively charge for it. Consequently, the market fails to provide these goods altogether, and it is indeed called the missing markets problem. Superb answer. That was Finley's answer, not mine. Moving on. Okay, so this is really, let's get into the synoptic bit just for the next few minutes. Can you please give me two micro justifications for the government to fund and provide pure public goods? Now, this is synoptic. Have a go. We're going to move now into our synoptic revision. We've done a bit of revision on what public and private goods are. If you're doing it Excel, for example, you just need one micro factor, influence, policy, justification, advantage. What are you going to focus on? Why might the government, at a micro level, be the right agency? But Charlie has a nice link there to inequality, and I'm sure you could develop that point, Charlie. LT talks about allocative efficiency. We will mention that in a second, in fact. All kinds of micro points you can make. What are you going to go for? Izzy says, as they're likely more goods have a positive externality. So Izzy is bringing in a secondary market failure externalities. Superb. Anton talks about relative efficiency, especially if the price is close to marginal cost, can lead to increased consumer surplus. Some great answers. We can't show all the answers. There's over nearly 400 people in the live stream, many of whom are typing away, producing great answers. Elodie talks about the marginal social benefits greater than the marginal private benefit, improves social welfare. Good stuff there. Yeah, the key thing is to think about public goods there, Elodie. So you've got a great point on externalities. Just be careful, don't stray too far into the what our externalities argument. You've got to go back to public goods. Faye talks about public goods, flood defence is a merit good. Well, merit goods are different to public goods, but okay, and certainly it protects living standards. People are protected from floods. Oftentimes, by the way, building flood defences in towns and cities is largely a waste of money. You've got to really prevent floods happening upstream. Natural flood defence is often a better use of public money, as the people in York often find out. What have I gone for? I've gone for 2 micro points. One is externalities and one is scale. So I've gone for the fact that public goods might generate positive externalities, spillovers to others who are not directly involved. So things like the externalities of knowing you've got a rapid response police force, but police protection is sufficiently, it's not a pure public good, but it's the rule of law and feeling of security. Flood defence. So externalities, of course, that gives you the chance to use an externalities diagram. And then scale. The government might be able to provide public goods more efficiently. It might, by the way, hedging words. Large-scale provision, achieving scale economies can bring down unit costs. And if you had many, many small firms, so you get it again in allocative and productive efficiency. Great stuff. Great stuff. Synoptic thinking, everybody. So what we're going to have to do in paper 3, can you give me 2 macro reasons for the government to fund and provide public goods? Have a go. Now, can you tilt? See, most people think public goods is micro. But what I'm suggesting to you today is that public goods has a macroeconomic or synoptic element to it. Can you link it to macro? Wow, what an answer there from Ayushi. Roads, education, well, roads increase mobility of labour, structural unemployment goes down, linked to HDI. Several points in there which you could flesh out in an answer. G9 talks about public goods can attract tourism and skilled labour into a country. So having good public goods might well be a catalyst for net inward migration, particularly of skilled people, entrepreneurs and things. I like Lara's point, and we'll come to Ben Armstrong's point in a second. So Lara says public goods, motorways can reduce geographical mobility of labour and improve productivity of human capital. We're using some great terms here. And here's Ben's point. Public goods such as vaccines can increase the productive capacity of an economy through herd immunity, essentially addressing long-term sickness, which increases employment rates. So linking that. Yeah, some really good stuff coming through. People linking flood defence to the ability, public goods, the ability of a country to respond to natural disasters. Here are a few thoughts. I thought I'd create this graphic for you. If you think about from a development point of view, public goods, sanitation infrastructure is a public good. Before anybody tells me it's rival, it isn't. Okay, my ability to go upstairs and flush my toilet does not depend on the ability of somebody next door to do it. Flood defence projects, early warning systems, health benefits from vaccinations, and then on the bottom row there, freely available knowledge from online learning, public service broadcasting, irrigation systems providing benefit for the whole community, not just one farmer, the social gains from having national parks and a well-built environment and natural environment as well. So public goods, there's a good aspect to public goods. Turn it on this head, if these things are not there, the economy suffers, in my opinion. So here are my 2 macro points. So I've gone for knowledge and human capital. So if you have freely available education, online learning, one of Econ Plus Dell's videos, for example, that can lift the human capital, which in turn can affect labour force participation, can also raise productivity. And generally, I want to make a really strong link in a second. Public goods, if you get them right, they help widen and deepen the capabilities of a country, which ultimately drives competitiveness and exports. Okay? There's almost a crowding in aspect. The public goods, oh wow, in fact, I think somebody's mentioned crowding in there in the answer. The snack bandit, answering one of Will's questions, have you considered crowding in? Here's a phrase for the ages, everybody. Here's a revision phrase in case this comes up on paper 3. Having good public goods crowds in private sector investment. You're more likely to get inward investment and domestic investment if you have proper public goods. Roads that actually work, transport systems that work, sanitation and healthcare systems that are scalable and effective. So crowding in is where, if the government spends more money, Luke's asking me to explain it. Thanks for your question, Luke. And by the way, I love the profile picture. Crowding in is where if the government spends more, then that borrow more, okay, then that actually accelerates investment by the private sector. It doesn't diminish investment by the private sector. It's a complement to private sector investment. I hope that explains it, Luke. And then I've gone for human development and living standards. I regard critical infrastructure, in particular third generation critical infrastructure, as a public good. Okay, water and sanitation systems have a direct impact on health. Many of my former students now work in this kind of space: sustainable finance, sustainable off-grid energy in emerging countries. And it's amazing to see what they do. It's one of the great joys of being a teacher. If you have an efficient legal system, there we go from Ella. Crowding in is a Keynesian theory that an increase in government spending incentivizes investment. Just a nice little counterbalance to crowding out. Efficiency of legal systems, protecting property rights, the rule of law. You need that for private businesses to flourish. So public goods, when they work well, they support, they complement development. But when these are absent, long-run performance suffers. And I'm telling you, that is the case in many countries. If you don't invest enough in public goods, your growth suffers. I won't say much more about the UK economy. Here's a chart, she's quite interesting. So, okay. Jeff, if you see the building of more next generation bridges, my marking paper through, no, it's my paper. But it could be lots of people, thousands of people attend these live streams. Here's a chart, interesting. Just think about countries such as South Korea. Hasn't really appeared on a paper yet. In 2022, this work, of course, comes from the brilliant work of Cesar Hidalgo and Ricardo Hausmann. South Korea was the number 13 economy in the world in terms of GDP, US dollars. Number 5 exporter in the world. 33 in terms of GDP per capita, but about to overtake Japan. The 4th most complex economy in the world. In other words, it could be used so many things in different industries, related industries. Okay? And as you can see, integrated circuits from cars, refined petroleum, pharmaceuticals. So South Korea is a very, very complex economy. You can't achieve that. You cannot achieve that without good public goods. Can't do it. Okay, cracking on. I want to finish our time together. We've got 5 minutes left. I just want to look at the broadband industry and ask a question. A lot of people thinking, what is Riley on? Has he suffered a downturn since his last haircut? Broadband isn't a public good. It could be. This is the market share of telecoms operators in the UK up to and including 2022. Okay. If you're asking, it's Virgin Media. That's in green, BT, dominant, Virgin Media, and Sky. It's basically a duopoly stroke oligopoly. The next chart shows the industry, the network. So OpenReach is wholly owned by BT, but nearly 20 years ago, they reached an agreement with the network operator BT, Ofcom, to provide network access to over 600 communications providers. So basically the broadband that comes into your house or flat or castle comes through the BT network, and BT is required by law to open up the network to other providers. City Fibre has been laying a lot of cable, but Virgin Media basically uses existing networks. Okay, but you can see the dominance of OpenReach. Okay, now in 2019, if we move on to the next slide, in 2019, I know we've got an election coming up soon. The Labour Party went into the 2019 election promising to nationalise BT, Openreach, and provide free broadband to all homes and businesses. Let's just tilt this synoptic thing for our last question today. Can you give me one micro and one macro argument in favour of nationalisation and providing broadband for free to everybody? Have a go. What can you come up with? Again, just in case you get a kind of nationalisation stroke debate. Now, Labour have ditched this plan, so Starmer's not going for this in 2024. But have a go at this one. Take BT Openreach into state ownership, Openreach, by the way, and then allow free broadband to all homes and businesses. Ben Roberts talks about externalising consumption, helping finding jobs, reduces partial market failure. Great chain of reasoning there from Ben. Well, Ben, we're going to try and choose a few more new people if we can today. Oh, wow, these answers are incredible coming through. Lena talks about nationalisation, incentivise them to focus on social welfare. They can become more dynamically efficient. Faisal, huge economies of scale from state ownership. Of course, BT Openreach already has scale economies. That's the evaluation, Faisal. Less cost-cutting, increasing quality. Free broadband increases living standards through communication. And for many families, of course, it's quite a sizable part of their budget, their monthly budget. So the idea is you provide free broadband to all. Okay, pick and mix if you like. Broadband is underprivileged by the profit maximising private sector. Underprovided, I think you would say. The provision can lead to a fall in structural unemployment as workers can work from home. Wow, interesting point. That might encourage more home working and encourage more people who might not be able to move to work. Some good stuff there. Improving the elasticity of labour from Oscar could help reduce the natural rate of unemployment. Wow. I didn't think we'd get answers like this. This is great stuff. Queen Bee, broadband's a utility, correct. Increasing affordability for low-income households means that living standards could be improved, increasing social welfare, potentially reducing inequality, particularly if more people in that family can work. And George, one of our great contributors, one of our top people, it will likely reduce the regressive effects of broadband bills, increase long and aggregate supply, increase productive potential, employment opportunities. It's good stuff. I mean, you can flesh these answers out happily. We've only talked about enabling people to access education, more human capital, people more productive, command higher incomes, which generates more tax revenue for the government. Wow. Superb stuff. What have I gone for? I've gone for micro, equity and social justice. So basically free broadband means that everybody can get to broadband regardless of their location or social status. And that can help bridge the digital divide, which is palpable in this country. And of course, it generates more consumer surplus. And I've gone for the idea that faster free broadband might encourage small businesses to grow and encourages more home working. And there's a kind of labour market effect. Somebody would presumably have to increase the investment in broadband infrastructure, creates more jobs in construction, engineering, that kind of stuff. Last question today. Have we got this one? Before we do that, here's the diagram. So you could argue that the network itself is a natural monopoly, BT Openreach. Now, if you price at marginal cost, which is price P2, output Q2, that's good for consumers, but there'll be a loss to cover because price is below average cost. Interestingly, in the next slide, if you go further and provide it for free, charge free, demand will go from Q2 to Q3. The unit cost would come down a bit, so you'd still have quite a loss to cover. You get more people using broadband, but you'd have a bigger loss. So there's the trade-off there, isn't there? You cut the price for broadband, cheap broadband or free broadband might imply a loss, and somebody has to pay. There's an opportunity cost. Great stuff. Isaac talking about potentially this could be a factor squeezing the Gini coefficient down a little bit. And it could well be in the long run if this policy works. Last question today. Evaluation. What are the unleash your inner trusts or your inner free market, Austrian economics? What are the arguments against nationalising Openreach and providing free broadband. Have a go. What can you come up with? So now we're looking for the evaluation. When Labour proposed this in 2019, it was part of Jeremy Corbyn's manifesto. Some people thought he was nuts. Others thought it actually commanded quite a lot of public support. So Stefan going for lack of competition, so the state taking over the network might lead to X inefficiency. And at the macro level, there's fiscal cost, there's subsidy needed to cover the loss. Shayla talks very expensive. It could be, in theory, Shayla, it could be very expensive, and of course that has an opportunity cost. Keep an eye on the chat with everybody as these answers come through. Again, it's unfamiliar context, but quite interesting. Did you treat the broadband network itself as essentially a public good, available for free to all? That's essentially what we're arguing here. What have we got? Fagan comes in. Nationalisation will in reality lead to a lack of profit incentive to operate at predictable, efficient level of output. Potential diseconomies of scale, X inefficiency. So good use there of efficiency concepts from Faye. And if we could maybe find one more. What have we got for? Oscar Jobson, creative destruction. And Oscar's unleashing his inner Austrian spirit here. Profit incentive pushes firms into innovations less possible under the public sector. Don't, Oscar, be slightly cautious there. Please don't write that the public sector is never innovative. Often public sector innovation in the public sector outstrips the private sector. Slightly counterintuitive, but it's true. Consumers gain greater quality, the economy receives supply side benefits. That would be a benefit, wouldn't it? A benefit rather than a cost. Kate says improvements for labour mobility are not beneficial for all. Hairdressers can't work online. Well, mine can. Mine can. All they have to do is take one look at me and say, thank you, Mr. Riley. All finished, all done. Charlie talks about crowding out. Come back to that one in a second, Charlie. And Harry Radley, one of our great contributors, if you just look at Harry's answer coming through. Harry talks about, can we find Harry's answer? Here it is, bureaucracy and red tape, expenses, loss in innovation. However, positively, quality of life will essentially increase. So less disposable income goes to paying the bills, greater access to online information, good impact on education, for example. Can make a case for saying, Harry, that this will be a progressive policy in the sense that a £100 broadband bill per month bears more heavily on a family on low income than a family on a good income. I have gone for the following arguments. I think at a micro level, probably less innovation, probably. Nationalisation could lead to a state monopoly with less incentive to innovate and invest. Private companies, think back to the chart, such as Virgin Media and City Fibre, they might get forced out, but they'd have less reason for being in the market, and the long-term cost might go up. There's a risk of crowding out, particularly if the government has to raise taxes to pay for the losses. And nationalisation could also lead to job losses. Private firms reduce operations or exit the market. There's also no guarantee that investment will be higher. And if the government doesn't invest enough in the network, given a growing population and increasing demand for bandwidth, then the network will suffer. Capacity bottlenecks would worsen. So an interesting debate. Let me just throw you one more topic. I'm not going to go through this today. I just wanted to throw you one more synoptic topic. Ask this question. Maybe go away and think about it. How should the BBC be funded? Now, public service broadcasting has a strong public good aspect. Okay, BBC. I know most of you don't watch the BBC these days. You probably just watch YouTube. TV license fee is currently £169 a year. My mistake. My bad. 169. It's just gone up by £10. It pays for BBC, TV, radio, iPlayer, etc. 24.5 million licenses. You can see the significance of the license fee. So here's a question for you. Examine the micro and macroeconomic effects of moving the BBC from a license fee to a subscription-based model, such as Netflix or Sky. Maybe I'll leave that question with you. Think about that from a synoptic point of view. Wow, well done, everybody. And my face will appear. There it is. As you can see, my hairdresser doesn't have a lot to do these days. Well done. Thank you for joining us. We're well over several hundred people already still in the live chat. Hope you found that session useful. I've got to go because business studies are knocking on the door, ready for their 2 sessions today ahead of their paper 3. Let me just double check what we're doing tomorrow. We're going to move on to what are we doing tomorrow? I should know. I don't know. I think, well, okay, might be doing exchange rate. So we're doing development economics tomorrow, a synoptic aspect of development economics. Exchange rates on Monday, then AQA revision clinic on Tuesday, and then EdXL revision clinic Wednesday. Thursday, well, I have a day off. Hopefully you're revising. Friday is the paper 3. I know you have other exams as well, but Friday the 7th is our last economics paper, and Wednesday the 5th is our last revision stream together. So I'll bring some cake and I'll bring some innocent juicy water and we can share that. Thanks for joining in today, really appreciate it. Some great answers as always. So stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive, stay curious, and hope to see you sometime soon.